My key tips would be to consider the 4 key principles again, and thinking about how you can use them for your header banner, for your Instagram posts. So obviously, for example, symmetrical is a great one to use when you're thinking about your e-commerce site. Make sure that you're using a symmetrical layout to your composition with your pictures and text. Just remember that RI can take in symmetrical sort of templates, compositions easier. Asymmetrical is a great one to use when you're creating compositions of particularly 3D product. So that can work particularly well on Instagram, and also product posts on your e-commerce site. If you think about the kind of sort of graduation of the pyramid, make sure that you're graduating the customer's eye to the purchase here tab, for example. So you're always taking the customer's eye to a point of interest. Repetition, the principles of 3, we can always look at the quantity of 3 with much more ease. Make sure that the product that you have in the middle icon, for example, is the product that you really want to try and push to the customer. And then alternating patterns. That could be alternating colours, but it could also be alternating shots. So for example, lifestyle flat shot, lifestyle shot, just to be able to create the separation and create a bit more clarity on the customer's eye. Ensure that you consider the 4 key areas on that page. So we talked about on the other part of the interview that we would look at our shop floor in 4 key parts. So we've got the first part, which is obviously the hotspot. It's the area of entry into the store. Then the secondary part is like your push product too. So that's also your kind of new and seasonal product. The third part of the shop floor space is where we're taking the customer into maybe your kind of sort of core merchandise, maybe slightly heavier counters too. And then obviously area 4 is the area which is the hardest area to drive customer flow into, which usually has lots of our pool services and pool product. So if we convert that to what happens via e-commerce, we're thinking about trying to create the area 1 at the top of the page. So obviously all of that is the header banner and any promotional activity that comes under that. Area 2 is usually highlighting any new products, new brands that you've got coming into store. The third part of the e-commerce page, which is like the kind of core area, so anything core, any product or brand that customers are always coming to you for, to be able to encourage them to scroll through that page. And then area 4, which is the lowest part of the e-commerce page, should have your pool product or pool services. So usually with most e-commerce sites, they have like a sign up. Sometimes lots of brands will offer 10% off. Usually the tab for that is at the bottom of the page. Any contact us information, any information in regards to your opening times or any sort of activity that you would like to highlight there. Also a carousel for your Instagram always looks quite nice in the right hand corner of the page, and that can add some really nice colour and sort of picture interest to that page area. Try to ensure that the concept that you're highlighting as a brand is also repeated not only in your shop window, but it's also brought through to your social channels, so Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, for example, and also on your e-commerce site. The e-commerce site, the sort of main point of contact for any customer coming onto your e-commerce site, Whether they're accessing that site via their smartphone, tablet or PC is the top header banner. So the top header banner acts like the sort of top of your pyramid. It's the main focal point. Make sure that you're highlighting any campaigns that you would like to push first or showcase to the customer first at that place. Most companies who I work with are having a look at changing their header banner every 2 weeks because obviously they get more volume and regular customers accessing their e-commerce site. So you may need to change that header banner more frequently than you change your shop window. Most shop windows on average will change about 4 weeks. So the header banner is really important to the e-commerce site, particularly the header banner on the home page. It's the main landing point for any customer coming to your e-commerce site. Also think about the theatre of product too. So all of that can be really useful to consider, maybe the asymmetrical concept. If you're handling, say, 3D product, trying to create more of the sort of experience that the customer would typically have in store. Also thinking about trying to add any activity via your e-commerce channels. So that could be maybe some content on workshops or other content that is happening in store. I would say the kind of sort of key principle here is that the channels, whether it's physical or the online channels, should be communicating the same key messages all the way through, which will create a much more consistent brand message for your customers. Try to think about upselling more product to the customer via your e-commerce site by positioning and placing perhaps 3 items next to 1 item online. So if we think about how we're merchandising in store, it's always trying to give the inspiration to the customer in regards to how they can maybe wear that or dress that in their house or use it at home. So try to place together a package of product, possibly say 3 items next to the item that you're trying to sell via your e-commerce channel to be able to help create the added link selling.